Hello, my name is Ricardo Triães and my colleagues Ania Chasqueira and Renata Faria Barbosa, we are to present this communication, how to preserve industrial heritage, the memory and significance. We are members from the TechniArt Center of Technology Restoration and Enhancement of the Polytechnic Institute of Tomar.
Well, this study is part of the Purum project, in which we intend to contextualize a small remaining parcel of the industrial collection of the Companhia Nacional de Fiação e Tecidos de Torres Novas, the Torres Novas National Spinning and Weaving Company, and find a way to return this heritage to the community. The factory was founded on the 2nd of October of 1845, and in 1881 it ranked 12th of the list of the 50 largest company in Portuguese manufacturing industry. Located in the city border area along the Almonda River, after 166 years of existence due to the economic difficulties faced and the impossibility of restructuration, and shut down definitely on the 20th of July 2011. Due to its importance and significance for the city through the years, it has been getting attention from several sectors, although until now there has been no investigation into its remaining collection. So, considering that the industrial heritage of the factory, it is a part of the identity, the memory and heritage of the community. This study is focused on understand if the collective memories of this experience still have an impact on the memories that the community have, so that this type of industrial heritage can be valued and preserved. Through this, a survey was created with the objective of understanding these immaterial values that the factory still preserves beyond the buildings and its assets. The survey was conducted with the population of the region of Torres Novas and surrounding areas, and was exclusively answered online using the Google Forms platform and disseminated on the Facebook social network. The survey, anonymous, was organized into 15 closed-ended questions in order to facilitate its completion and simultaneously enable a more effective data proceeding and a more objective analysis, and three other open-ended questions so that we could obtain information from the respondents in an impartial way. The first five questions focus on the characterization of the sample. It was found that the majority of the universe surveyed is female, 66.5% in the age range between 26 and 45 years, 51.1% and between 46 and 65 years, 36.9%, and was higher education, 56.8% of this population. A relevant piece of data for this study was the assessment of the respondents with the Torres Novas region in terms of the residents. A significant number of participants indicate they live in the municipality of Torres Novas, 80.1% of these people. This aspect is of particular importance for the validation of the sample with the objectives of this study, since the higher number of the residents respondents presuppose a good understanding of the context of the Companhia Nacional de Fiação e Tecidos de Torres Novas. 42.6% of the respondents study or work in the municipality of Torres Novas, and 38.6% study or work outside the municipality of Torres Novas, and the remaining 11.9% are retired and 6.8% are unemployed. Well, in the second part of the survey, composed of 10 questions, we sought to characterize the respondents' opinion and attitudes toward the memory of the factory. In this sense, was asked about what was produced in the factory, in which, naturally, the majority what it's remembered, it's the most recent production of terril towelings, it's possible to see in the graphic number 4. However, it can also be seen that despite this, people still remember other productions, such AMP and Who's. It's possible to see this and other productions in the next graphic, the graphic number 5. Well, we also try to verify if the Companhia Nacional de Aviação e Tecidos Torres Novas still has some impact on socialization among individuals, verifying a good tendency of response with 30.1% and 42.8% of the participants, stating that quite often and sometimes, respectively, a reason for conversation with relatives, friends, or acquaintances, like it's possible to see in the graphic. When assessing the type of memory and impact that individuals have on the company, there was a good trend where 83% of the respondents consider that the factory generate good memories for them, or only 1.1% disagree. Regarding this impact, 97.8% consider that the factory was important for the social and economic development of the city of Torres Novas, and 98.3% consider that the factory had a positive impact for the region. The questions that we have, the open questions. For example, one of these questions, it's could you tell us about any memories you have on the factory? And we obtain testimonies like us.
I remember attending kindergarten and our kindergarten teachers taking us on top of some sport cars, which were used to put on the terry towel on to watch our mothers work. I was part of the factory maintenance. I knew places in the factory where only 2 or 3% knew of its existence, namely, for example, an underground tunnel that exists from the dyeing plant to the water exit, that was under the lime tree at the entrance, where there were hiding people persecuted by the former regime. On the walls there were the names and dates. Memories of the contrast between the silence and the bustle of the factory street once the workers got off work, and the post-work conversations. The color of Almonda River that varied according to the color of the terry toweling that were dyeing that day. I remember the characteristic smell from the inside the factory that made the process of transforming cotton in yarn, a place that no longer exists today. The memories are many. For example, morning fishings in the river with the yarn that our mother used to give us. I remember when my mother worked there, and I would meet her in the changing rooms, and then I attended the nursery, where there was a nursery inside the space. With some friends, still girls, we got to go and meet and watch the babies being nursed. We are well received.
Well, finally, the 3 more questions that we have in the survey, where we ask about what the participants consider was heritage and what is important for them to preserve. Of the respondents, 93.7% consider that the Companhia Nacional de Aviação e Tecidos de Torres Novas is an historical and cultural heritage of the city of Torres Novas. It's possible to see in the graphic number 8. Regarding what they consider to be the most important to preserve, 88.1% consider that graphic and photographic documentation is the most important to preserve. However, the percentage relating the machinery and buildings, it's also considerable, like it's possible to see in the graphic number 9. This answer may lead us to understand that the population considers that is really the graphic and photographic documentation that is the most important to preserve for this community. However, we must take into consideration that the industrial heritage is a relatively recent heritage, even more so when we talk about its preservation. And it is necessary to consider that the community may not yet understand what industrial heritage is. However, what is interesting to note when we ask to clarify what other things it's needed to preserve is the fact that the respondents consider that oral testimonies are also something that should be preserved. So it's certain that they recognize the need to preserve the immateriality of the factory through the memories of its users. In this case, it's not the aim of this kind of project. Our aim is more like to preserve the goods from the factory and the buildings, but it's the next step that this kind of survey join to this perception what is important to preserve for the future in this community. Well, in conclusion, it is the memory and the identity of places that allow or not the preservation of cultural heritage. In the case of the Companhia Nacional de Fiação e Tecidos, this is exactly what is observed. Analyzing the answers of the survey, we perceive that the population considers that the factory had a positive impact in the region beyond consider it was a city heritage. However, as we verify what individuals consider most important to preserve is the documentation and the oral testimonies, representation of their memory and factory identity. In this case, it's not easy for us in this project to do this collection of these testimonies, but we try to do something about these concerns of the population. We think that one of the main goals of this project is to represent all the identities, all the memories around the factory. Furthermore, through the architectural characterization of the landscape, as well as the historical and social characterization of the Companhia Nacional de Fiação e Tecidos, it was possible to understand the evolution of the factory over the years. And this study can help the community to value more this heritage that belongs to it. Finally, it was also important to understand how much the company's social work had an impact not only on its cultural landscape, but also on the community's memory, and how much it's these memories that lead the community to consider the Companhia Nacional de Fiação e Tecidos as the city's cultural heritage and to want to preserve it. Well, it's our presentation. Like I said in the conclusions, we have in our hands this challenge. It's to connect the population, the people from the city of Torres Novas and from the surrounding areas, because they, in the most of the cases, the workers are there in the region, and make this connection with the municipality of Torres Novas and the politicians to identify a way to preserve all together the goods that we have from the factory and the buildings and the space, and we think it's the only way that we have to preserve this immaturity, these memories that the people have from the factory. Okay, thank you for your attention.